This is a PSA for all of the privileged, rich, wealthy Americans. Hi, my name is Bridget. I'm 32 years old. I work full-time, and my paycheck does not give me enough to even get the bare minimums. I had a savings account, and I just had to use about half of it just to get by until my next paycheck. And the reality of that is once my savings is gone, I don't have a crutch. I don't have any more crutches. And the stress of going grocery shopping, y'all, I'm at Aldi, which is probably one of the cheaper grocery options. And the way that I have to pinch my pennies just to make sure I have enough food until the next paycheck is wild. To all of my single humans out there, we're a one-income family. My fur babies don't work. Meanwhile, y'all are out here driving your Teslas and your Cybertrucks and your G-Wagons. I'm in a Chevy Equinox, and I'm starting to think I need to trade it in because I can't afford life anymore. It's pretty sad. I have a college degree. I am overqualified for my job. I am severely underpaid. I think the next step for me, I'm gonna have to look into food stamps, and I bet you my salary is above the threshold. I'm $85.26 away from being in the negative. What are we supposed to do? How am I supposed to buy groceries for 2 weeks with $85 only to have 26 cents left in my bank account?
I hate to say this to the young lady, but I and many of you probably have been in the exact same situation. And if you are that broke, then of course you know why I'm going to ask you, why do you have pets? You are never that broke if you can afford to feed a pet. And especially if you have kids and pets and you can still afford to spend the money to feed the pet, but you claim you are so broke you can't feed the kids. Just a thought. All right. So her message to the rich is she's a broke ass and the rich are not. Congratulations. What do you want the rich people to do about it? I mean, I swear to God, I'm gonna get a kazoo. All right. I mean, what do you want the rich people to do? So you sat there and you made a TikTok saying that you most likely don't have the best of the budget because again, you got a pet. You are broke. You have 85. You're $85 away from being in the hole. Hell, I was 25. Remember, fam? I told you I was 25 cents. I would have been 25 cents in the hole if I had not made that quarter deposit when I was about 26 years old. That's when Washington Mutual Bank, that's not my bank now, so don't go looking for it. But that was Washington Mutual Bank before they closed. Yeah, I was 25 cents. So the fact that she has $85, she eating good and hearty. I'm willing to bet if you peel apart most people's budget, most of these TikTokers that like to come on here and claim they have nothing. I'm willing to bet if you were to peel away their budget, we're going to see an overpriced phone. My phone, $50 a month. And that's up from what used to cost me around $45 a month because I wanted the extended plan service. So now I pay $50 a month. But I hear people getting these phones like, oh, my phone is $150. And I'm like, to do the same call and use the same apps that I can use. We must take personal responsibility. But now that, she's given out her message to the rich, perhaps she feels better.
You know what makes single parenting so hard?
What is up with the countless number of crying single parents on TikTok? Countless.
The hardest is when things come up with your kids. You can't go tell your dad or go put it on somebody else. You got to take that on. I don't want to be up at 7 a.m. arguing with no kid. I don't want to be fussing nobody out about something they clearly don't care. I've been repeating the same thing for 2+ years and they keep doing the same thing over and over again. And every time I try to find a solution to doing things without putting my hands on that person, it ain't working. But guess what? As a single parent, I can't go tell daddy do what he want to do. I'm the one got to deal with that. I don't want to keep answering mommy all the time. I just need a second. That's the frustrating part about being a single parent. You have to put that whole load on you by yourself.
That's the term single parent. What part of that term did we not understand with the first kid? What part of that term did we not understand with the second? I don't know how many she has, but I can guarantee she has multiple because she said kids. By the way, and this is not to throw shade at her hair or anything like that. Again, I'm going to clarify for the record, my hair is my actual hair. People seem to argue sometimes in the comments, usually when they're trying to throw me some shade. That's just okay. You can throw all the shade you want. All right. Um, I don't delete most comments, most. Okay. I delete a few, not very many. No, this is all my hair right here. See, I got my roots and all of that. So we can put that, oh, gee, that's not her hair. They're usually trying to throw that at me when they want to try to hurt my feelings. They don't understand. I've been on freaking YouTube for 7 years. If you can be on YouTube for 7 years and you can become profitable and you can still smile at the camera afterwards, trust me, it takes a lot to hurt my feelings. Okay, so she's sitting there upset because she doesn't like the responsibility of single parenthood. And she didn't know that after the first kid. See, what I think happens, you guys, is a lot of these women on TikTok, they wind up having these kids because somehow or another they think the guy is going to stick around if they have the kid. No, the guy ain't going to stick around if he never wanted you to begin with. He was just looking for a Hormel cheese and cracker plate, okay, for one night. Okay, a little toss in the hand. That's all he was interested in. You popping out a kid means nothing.
You don't get 2 seconds. This person is living their life, doing their own thing. You're not here dealing with this. You're not here having to stress about the things that my child does or our child does. I do. You get to live your life and go home and do your whole whatever job you got to do and go to sleep. I have to deal with my kid and the stuff that's going on. I got to make sure that child is well dressed. I got to make sure that child is fed. I got to make sure that child got a roof over their head. I got to make sure my child is okay. Our child is okay. And you're not doing that.
My name is Shelby. I live in.
And chances are he was a loser before she had a kid with him. And she said, hey, that's a loser I want to have a child with. Yeah. People typically, it's my belief, they show their stripes long before you've ever chosen to have a kid with them. Now, I'm not saying it's not the one nightclub hookup. God help you if it is. Okay. We know what's happened. But a lot of these times, especially when they have multiple kids, I think she had multiple kids. I think either way, she has at least a kid. The lack of responsibility was already there. How do we know there were lack of responsibility? There was no protection on either side. All right, we have a lady here. This is June 7th, 26. She's of the older generation. So we shall pay extra respect. Unless, of course, she's a beggar and all of that stuff.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I'm reaching out to the TikTok community.
Okay, I'm going to pause. All right. She is asking stuff. But guys, I'm going to show my kind-hearted side. I have not seen her before. I've not seen her page before. I looked really briefly at it. She seems like a lovely person, like the type you'd want to have a neighbor. So we're going to put on an extra kind hat. I don't have. Hey, I need a hat. Okay. Well, I don't have an extra kind hat to put on. We're going to be nice. I do not hold this person to the level of Darla. You know, Darla, who was going to call the FBI. Yeah. Okay. She's a whole train wreck in herself. So we're going to be extra nice to this sweet, lovely looking woman who may not actually be much older than I am. Okay. So we're going to be nice.
We need help. We need financial assistance. We are $1,000 behind in our rent, which is insurmountable, but it feels outerworldly. We don't have enough money to buy food at the moment. I do work a part-time job, so I am earning some money to keep the lights on and the gas and keep the gas in the car and all the things, but unfortunately, we just are having difficulties making ends meet rent-wise. I hate asking for help. I've never had to do this in my entire life. I've never had to ask for help. I've always been pretty self-supportive, and I've always donated when I can. We had to move the house that we were living in and gave us 6 weeks to move. It was winter time. Pickings were slim. We moved into this house. It's a little bit more than I wanted to spend rent-wise, but as I said, we were limited in our choices. I did have a pretty good savings built up, but between a very expensive move, deposits and first month rent and having to rent a moving van and people to help you move because you're not a spring chicken and all the things that come with that. And then I lost my job in January. So we had to move, and then I lost my job. And I carried us for a while. Started working part-time, and while I'm looking for a job, but job market, I'm asking for help.
All right, we're going to talk about something that if you're familiar with this channel, is near and dear to my heart, and that is planning for retirement. She looks as though she should be about getting close to retirement age. My apologies if she's way younger than that, but I'm going to say she looks like she should be close to retirement. She says she and her husband, they were renters. This is one of the risks about being a renter when you are in your older years and you are trying to settle down, not just, where you live, but you're trying to settle down financially. I have told you before, and I will say it again. If I did not have to ever own a place, I would choose to rent the rest of my life. I don't really care to own places. I am very happy to be a renter. It's just living here in Florida and stuff. And, I've got my, steady teaching job going on. It didn't make financial sense for me to continue renting. But in reality, I would actually love to be a renter and not have to deal with home ownership, or in this case, little condo ownership, which is why I live in 840 square feet. In her particular situation, I think, if I understand correctly, they may have been partially retired because she had to return to work and stuff. They were not in a financial position to retire. Let's take a hard look at it. She says they are $1,000 short of what they need to be able to move. If your retirement collapses because of $1,000, or your savings plan collapses because of $1,000, and you are of older years, I'm going to have to start putting myself in there, as I'll be 60 next year, okay, in 2027. You were never financially ready to retire. Now, this does not mean that when you retire, you don't have unexpected bills, and maybe some of them are even going to be unpleasant. Some of them may even challenge you. But if you truly have a retirement plan, $1,000 should not be enough, nowhere near enough, where you're like, I don't have this type of money. I need to go to TikTok and I need to ask for assistance. I'm going to be nice and say ask for assistance in her case versus beg. Now, let's say I hop on here and a couple weeks later, she's got video after video after video. Then I'm going to say, okay, she's a beggar. But right now we're going to take the nice route because I really do have a kind and tender heart. Okay. I teach middle school, you guys. All right. So I really do have a kind heart, but we need to look at this for what it really is. She should have never stopped working. Her husband should have never stopped working. And I'm going to assume from what she has said, they both have been underemployed, maybe not unemployed, but underemployed. And they're going to have to possibly work multiple jobs. If you are forced to move as a senior and your only solution is $1,000, asking on TikTok, I'm using a nice word for her, okay? Asking on TikTok, you should have never stopped working in the first place.